Hi, everybody. Welcome to Consciousness Coaching number 8. I am Holly Burns. I'm a psychic medium, which basically just means I'm really good at telepathy because everything is telepathic based. And you guys are too. And I just happen to use my gifts all day long. And you guys might not be as practiced up as I am, but every human on the planet has the same abilities we're all born with. And everything is really foundationally based on reading energy waves and energy vibrations, which is all the foundational skills of telepathy. So this series covers all of our different ways we can use that. And, you can go on calling it different names for years and years and years and give it all kinds of different terms. But it's all kind of the same foundational skill of our consciousness, the vibrations, the frequency that we choose to be on, which is controlled by our thoughts. And so this consciousness coaching series is based on the wanting of myself to be able to help you guys reach your highest levels of consciousnesses and release what's holding you back. So let's get to our best life, right? Today, I want to talk about something that happened with, and I kind of get inspiration from what goes on with my clients as well. So I'm going to bring two client stories into today's series. We're going to talk about what happens when your perspective shifts on something, and what happens when you start out with a negative feeling about something, and what to do with that, and then how that can shift throughout your life and shift to a positive feeling about it just by what you do with your consciousness. And so it's kind of about that, about shifting your consciousness up to the highest frequency about something that's making you feel unhappy to begin with, and how you can shift your own self and make a huge difference in the outcome of what happens in your life based on your own shifting, not relying on something else around you to shift. Okay? So that's what we're going to cover today. Let's get started. So, what I want to explain is I think I'll just go into the two clients' stories to give you the examples with what I just said for an intro there. So, client number one, this client had a childhood where he perceived it to be that he didn't ever feel a lot of nurturing love from his mother. And his perspective as a young child would be, my mother doesn't love me, right? And so he grew up with this perspective, and he kept this all into his adult life, that he wasn't loved much by his mother. There was something cold. His mother was cold to him. And he never felt this warm, fuzzy, huggy, nurturing feeling from his mother growing up. And he always felt really badly about that. And, of course, you think about, what am I doing wrong? Why doesn't she like me? Right. And we did a lot of work on that in our sessions, and had to heal a lot of that pain um, in our sessions by changing our frequencies, right? And the one biggest thing that the elders, my spirit guides that help me in my sessions, along with every other soul in the universe that comes in and out of my sessions, told him that they wanted him to just release that perspective and know that if it feels negative to him, that means that his perspective on that situation is flawed, and that it was about his mother, not about him. It had nothing to do with him. And it was something internal with his mother. She was going through some lessons. She's really in her own bubble as her own soul. And so he felt better after hearing that, and he was able to move on. And then we started working with some other issues with other family members in the last 2 years. And he had to really work on just transcending his own pain, that he was, of course, we create our own pain with our own thoughts and our perspectives, right? So he just worked on releasing all the pain of what anyone else around him was doing to him. And he changed his perspective to know that that's just his perspective about what's going on around him, and that he is the only one that can control how he feels about what's going on around him. And he decided to control his feelings by only thinking on positive vibrations about these things. And he let go of the old paradigms of, this person's doing this to me in the family, and this person said this to me, and this really hurt my feelings, and things like that were going on dynamics wise with him and his family members. So he changed his perspective. He felt better. He's like, oh, I feel much better now. Okay, I can just go on now, and I can feel good. That this isn't really what's going on down here that I think I'm seeing. The elders are giving me new perspectives on this, and I'm going to feel better about that. And I'm just going to go forth and feel better about my relationship with my family the way it is right now. And so he just let that simmer. But as soon as he changed his frequency, like 2 days after our session, I think it was, or maybe it was like 2 weeks. It was really soon time after his one of his latest sessions. His sibling that he thought he was in a rift with, his sibling called him up on the phone, and he's like, he doesn't even he wasn't even talking with this sibling for like a year. They called him. And I was like, ta-da! When you shift your own reality to a different frequency, you create a whole different outcome of everything. I want to back up and talk about that a little bit. We have the ability to create our lives on infinite numbers of frequencies, which also creates infinite outcomes. So you are the one shifting yourself through different dimensions as you shift your frequency. And yes, you're shifting yourself to different versions of your own life. So he might have shifted himself to a higher version and left the old version away in a whole nother dimension to play out as it wants to play out. And now he's up here on a higher frequency in a new dimension, creating a new reality for himself with new versions of those same people in this dimension who are now calling him up and talking to him. And this is a really cool thing. Through this new conversation he created with his sibling based on his new frequency he switched to, which created a new outcome, he got new information he'd never had before his entire life. This man is in his 50s, and he found out from his older sibling that his mother had miscarried 2 children in between the oldest children and my client. And he never knew that. It was a family secret. Or actually, one of them might have been stillborn. I think one of them was born but then died. And then she miscarried another one. It was like very traumatic for her. And she said, yeah, because I think they named the one. It was a girl and it was a baby girl. And I think they buried her and everything. And he never knew. And they said, the brother said that the mother said she didn't know if she could ever bear to love another child again because it hurt so bad to lose those 2 children. But then she got pregnant again with my client and then one other younger sibling after that. But she held back her love. She was unaligned about her own pain. Like they said, she was going through her own stuff. It was her own journey. It was her own soul's journey to deal with. It had nothing to do with him. He was just the next soul in line in the birth order. But after she had so much pain and suffering, she could not deal with opening her heart again because she was afraid it would kill her if anything ever happened to another child. Does that break your heart? It kind of makes you want to cry. It breaks my heart, but it really made him feel love and compassion back for his mother. And that's always the answer. The answer is always to give out love and compassion for others. And now he's at that place. What a beautiful ending. And he's the one that shifted first. He had to shift first. If he never shifted, he would have been back here in the old dimension, the old version of him, with a different conversation happening with that other sibling. That other sibling might not have ever called him because it might have been like, I don't want to talk to him. He's my whiny little brother. I don't really have any interest in talking to him. And he might have never dialed the phone. So super cool shifting. And now it's aligned. Now it's like, yeah, mind, body, and spirit aligned with that storyline, right? Very, very, very traumatic. And really, really, really big, important information there. Just big for everybody to know about. So the second story is about another client of mine that said to me, Holly, I just don't feel positive about my children. I'm just unhappy, and I especially don't like one of my children. I just don't like him, and I feel really bad about it. But we fight, and he fights against me, and he pushes against me, and we struggle, and he has a lot of anger issues and he won't listen. And I try to tell him to do something and he won't do it. And then he throws a temper tantrum. And I just don't know what to do. But I'm just going to admit to you wholeheartedly, Holly, that I just don't really like him. I'm like, okay, let's get going on this. So we discussed it and we realized that the same thing's going on with her that was going on from before she had her last child. She just had a child in this past year. And before that, I've been working with her since before that child was born. And the things that came up in her past consciousness sessions were also about her needing more time for her. Because her situation is her husband is the one that goes out and works. And they have decided that it would be best for their family unit if she's the one that stayed home with the children and he went out and did the money thing. So this creates a lot of pressure on her because when he comes home from working, he's very tired. And so she gets left to a lot of the chores around the house full time, 24/7, no breaks, right? And so it's a typical stay-at-home mom syndrome, right? But everybody's different. She's younger. She's got 3 children now. Bam, one, two, three. And a husband that has to make his work sometimes cause him to have to travel and be gone for a while and come back. And so it's just a very, very demanding job. And she's young. And so the elders were telling her, you've got to stop and take little breaks and make time for you. And that will help you to be charged up to come back in a fresh approach to your family situation. She was just burned out and on all, on all cylinders before the baby. So she was working on that and she came to me and she's like, I'm worried about how I'm going to be when I have this baby because I don't really feel under control with these two. And now I'm having a third and I just don't feel like I've got my chi. I don't feel like I'm in my flow. And so then the third one comes along and then we chatted a couple weeks ago after the baby was born, and she was saying these things, like I don't even really like him. And of course, I know she loves him to death. Well, she's his mother. I mean, we know she loves him. But let's get through that. So his higher self started coming in. So the little boy's higher self was very helpful in this situation. That's a really great thing about what I do, is that I speak with any soul in the universe. So the little boy's soul self was coming in and speaking because we do not incarnate our entire energy into a body. We incarnate a portion of our energy into our body. So that's called our higher self that remains non-physically oriented. And so the higher selves of everybody I'm talking to always pop in when I'm talking. So I'm talking to her and I'm tuning into the little boy. When I tune into the little boy and what he's seeing, what he's feeling about his mom and what's going on with their dynamic, his higher self started popping in. And I started understanding a lot about how he is and what he needs to function. And so I explained back to her, he's a very high level soul. He's a very high vibrating soul. And he needs a very special environment in which to grow up in so that he can maximize his potential as a soul. And he is unwilling to waver from that frequency. And if you try to pull him out of it, he's going to throw a big fit on you because he's requiring a certain vibration around him at all times in order to fulfill his personal destiny. And so that already started to make sense to her. And she's like, oh, I get it. He's a very sensitive, high vibrating, high wired soul. I'm like, yeah, they all are. Like all the children coming into town or into town, into the world are like that now. And I said, I bet you had authoritative type parenting, right? And she's like, yep, I knew it. You had the kind of parenting where your parents just kind of tell you something and if you're going to respect your parents, you're going to do what they say because that's respectful to them, right? She goes, exactly. So she's trying to use that same technique on this son right now, and he ain't going for it because he thinks it's perfectly fine if he wants to have a snack 5 minutes before lunch is ready. He's hungry right now and he wants a snack right now. And she wants him to wait for lunch and eat the official lunch that she has made and decided that he's having today. And he's not in the mood for that right now because he's already changed his mind from 2 hours ago when they decided what they were having for lunch today. And so I said, okay, let's understand that. If you understand how he is and how he's functioning, you can respect that a little bit more and know that he's not disrespecting you. He's trying to speak up for himself. So we started working on that. And then I said, it's really just about you again. The elders are back saying, it's really about her. She's feeling like if she could just dictate these things and the children would just do these things, then she could get a break and it would be easier. And she's like, yeah, you're right. And I said, well, let's figure that out so you can do that. So we talked more and more about the flow and getting into the flow with the children. And if it feels resistant, she's not supposed to do it that way. Even if she made a decision 2 hours ago to do something, if it doesn't feel like it's any longer in her flow with the children, that she should pick the new flow that's calling her to it. And always do the path that feels least resistant when taking care of the daily chores and the routine with the children. And to let go of her old paradigms of rigidity and just relax into what feels good vibrationally with the children and not worry that she's going to screw them up if she says yes to something that she told them no to 5 minutes ago. If it makes sense and it's respectful, then go with it. So she started changing her parenting style big time, and she started going with that. And she messaged me like a week later, and she's like, oh my God, this is so different. So what she did is she changed her perspective. She didn't change the children. She didn't get the children to behave. She didn't get a special result from them that she was after. She changed herself. She changed her own perspectives and her own frequencies. And she let go of an old reality that was going to be the reality with her children, which is going to be lots of speed bumps and lots of crying and lots of tantrums and lots of exhausting days and lots of unhappy nights with the husband when he came home from work. And she stepped up to a higher reality over here, and now she's living this one. And I said to her, can you feel that? You just let go of an entire future that just dropped into non-physical, and you linked up with a new future over here just because you changed. And she went, yeah, I can totally tell. And I'm having so much fun now. Me and the children are getting along so well. It's going so great. I'm having so much fun, and he's so much better. He's not throwing his temper tantrums anymore. And I'm realizing, what a rare, high vibrating soul this child is. And things are going much better with the youngest baby in the mix as well. And everything just synergizing now. And she's so happy. So that's what this lesson is about, is that you've got to realize that you're the one shifting your reality. You're the one shifting your outcomes with your own frequency shifting and your own perspective shifting. So hopefully these two stories will help you understand that. And of course, if you need any help shifting your own perspective, see me for a session and we can work on that together privately. But hopefully these videos also help a lot of people, which is my point of them. So you guys have a great day. And if you like these playlists, I'm going to keep building up more content. I've been neglecting my duties over here in front of the camera for a while, and I'm going to really try to make it a higher priority to get more of these on. So please share the playlist with a friend and enjoy them. Thank you, guys.